When we say that something is empty, we generally mean that it's lacking something that we expect it to have due to our understanding of its nature. So, for example, a cup is empty if it lacks something for us to drink. The pots behind me are empty if they lack food for us to eat. The Buddha, in his wisdom, stated that everything in our universe, me, you, everything, is empty. The question then becomes, empty of what? And the answer is a permanent, separately abiding self. Now, those are some very fancy woo-woo words, but to put it simply, the Buddha was reminding us that everything in the universe is constantly changing. And everything in the universe is dependent on everything else. Nothing exists on its own. We can think of the nature of our existence like a campfire. If we get too close and we try to hold on to the flames to keep them from changing, we'll get burned. That said, if we step too far away, especially if it's a cold winter's night, we'll lose heat and be uncomfortable. Ideally, the best way to deal with a campfire is to find that middle way between getting too close and being too far away. Once we do this, we must understand that the campfire does not exist on its own. It depends on fuel, most often wood, to keep it going. If we throw too much wood on the fire, the flames will get too big and they'll be uncontrollable. If we don't throw enough wood on the fire, it'll burn out and we'll be cold. So understanding the interdependence between the flame and the fuel that feeds the fire, we must give it enough to keep the flames going, but not so much that it's out of control. We must do this with campfires. We must also do this with ourselves. Understanding that we are empty of a permanent existence, that we are always changing, that our flames require fuel. We fulfill our desires just enough to keep the flame going, but not so much that we burn ourselves out. When we look at the tenets of the Noble Eightfold Path, specifically right speech, right action, and right livelihood, what we are receiving are the ways that we can fuel our own internal fire, but to do so in a way that does not cause harm to ourselves and others. We speak in a way that's wise and compassionate. We act in a way that's wise and compassionate. We earn a living, make money to pay bills in a way that's wise and compassionate. We put fuel on the fire, but not so much that it hurts. When we understand the emptiness of life, we understand that the natural process of life is to change. Now, we as Westerners understand this intellectually, but we don't live that way. And the reason we don't live that way is because we have a very I-centered, very me-centered society. So if we clean the house, we expect the house to remain clean. If we fix the car, drive it out of the shop, we expect it to not need more repairs. We live as if our bodies are going to stay young and vibrant forever. We don't believe we are permanent. or we don't believe that we are empty. Not really. We believe that we are permanent and we are separately abiding, and we suffer as a result. We suffer when the car needs to be fixed. We suffer when the floors need to be cleaned. We suffer when we find wrinkles and gray hairs. What would happen if we accepted the natural emptiness of our nature, the fact that we are of a nature to be born, to grow old, to get sick, and to die? I would wager that what would happen is that as we get older, the gray hairs wouldn't bother us so much. I would wager that we wouldn't be so upset when the floor was dirty, because we understand that it's a cycle that we are a part of. We clean the floor, it gets dirty. We clean the floor, it gets dirty. In the same way that we put wood on the fire and it burns up, so we put more wood on the fire and it burns up. When we respect and understand the emptiness of life, the ever-changing, impermanent nature of life, then change becomes easier to bear, and we suffer less each time we have to deal with it. We find the middle way between us and our lives, standing close enough to the flames of daily existence that we can remain warm, that we get the food, the water, the comfort, the familial support that we need, but also far away enough that we don't get hurt when things shift. If we treat our lives like a campfire, if we walk the middle way, life becomes easier both for ourselves and for others. Amitabha.